are guaranteed to leave today with a plethora of knowledge and experience and what Tiffany and the steering committee promised to be a life-changing experience.
Let us get this party started.
I really do believe today, more strongly than ever before, that together, working together, men and women, we can and we will change the world.
So if we want to talk about my biggest takeaway from the conference we were at for Iowa Women Lead Change, I felt like what was so great was having men and women there so that we can have real dialogue, so that we can have true conversations that are eye-opening. The differences between men and women, how we perceive issues and how we tackle problems. All of these things are so divergent, as well as important that we understand our differences and that we work together.
Going into the conference, I have to actually say I was a little bit nervous, not really knowing what entering that conversation is really about.
First off, I want to say that the conference itself was a surprise and just an amazing experience. Going in there and being definitely a man in that environment, we were definitely the minority. But it was a great experience, and it was a real eye-opener for us.
The conference was a really good mix of content, ranging all the way from just self-awareness to really effective leadership. So I think there was definitely something for everyone and takeaways for everyone in our group. That was the most positive thing. Most of the presenters were really frank, were really logical. They had a lot of statistical information to back up all of the content that they provided for us, and this really allowed us to just cut through all the mania that's been going on the past year and really provided all of us a much higher comfort level, I think, to really have candid conversations with each other and talk about it.
The biggest takeaway for me was just that we need to, as men and women, need to leverage each other. And women, I was actually just afraid of being involved in anything similar to this, just because I didn't want to come off as too aggressive or to be a part of what they called like a man hate club. And I was just very refreshed to hear the speakers talk about this and address that, because the men, we don't want them to feel overwhelmed or afraid of us overall. We just want to leverage each other and work together better to find efficiencies in the workplace, to connect better and be able to enjoy our work environment overall.
My biggest takeaway from the entire day was I felt empowered in the sense that I think it's a very touchy time in our society, and I think there's a lot of negative things out in the real world, and we only hear about the negative things, but this was a conference about being cheerleaders for not only women but for our male coworkers as well, and how they could be champions for us. And I left feeling like we were empowering our people to do something better or be better, and more aware of what's going on.
Not long after that event, we had a strategic planning meeting at Rhinebeck at one of the event sites there. It was kind of interesting. I looked around that room with a different perspective, and it was really cool to see. In that room, I truly, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think the women outnumber the men. And that says a lot about what LSB is doing, but also that we have a lot of good young professional leaders here, both men and women, that I think need to attend events like this.
None of you are broken. All of you are innovative. All of you are accountable. All of you have all that you ever needed, because we're manifestations of something huge. But you can't access it when you're in low self, when you got drama. You are all that and more once the drama's gone. Simple toggle switch.
Suffering and reality. We can suffer, and that's an emotion that we may agree or disagree on what's going on, and it's a suffering, and oh, poor us. But then there's reality. And Cy did a very good job of not only articulating that, but honing in on the organizations that focus on reality. And by focusing on reality, they're embracing the change and they're moving forward and they're becoming part of the future.
What was great about the conference is it just felt like there was an opportunity for people to be very open about the differences, as well as how do we go forward? How do we take this data that we know about how we are wired up differently between men and women, and how do we take it to the next level? How do we implement change, and how do we accept each other's differences and make it be profitable to the company that we work for?
I think we're so fortunate to work for an organization like LSB that sends us these types of conferences. I know I for sure was excited to go because this was a women's organization, and I was surprised to go listen to the speakers and leave realizing that this is truly not just a women's movement. It is men and women together. And taking that knowledge and looking out into the working world right now and realizing that a lot of boardrooms and management teams are not 50-50 men and women, and realizing that we truly do scientifically think differently, and knowing that we need to reach that 50-50 point to better our organizations. And I think that coming back into my current working world of men and women on my small commercial team, I love the fact that we all see each other as equals and our opinions all matter and we work hard together every day. And that just shows that LSB is ahead of the curve, and that is so awesome to know.
So one, admit you're not perfect, and then two, self-examine constantly that you are treating people with the respect that you think you are. I think most of us have the right intentions to be treating the employees we work with, our coworkers, with respect and love, and the way that should look isn't always the way it does look.
The really neat thing for me was just the feedback from the team that I've received. I have heard so many positive stories that each and every person has come to me at one time or another and told me how deeply impacted they were and how profound they found the information that was provided affected them.
It was cool to see the other men in attendance, and it was cool to see not each, but most of the speakers speak to the fact that they were glad to see men in the room, because I think that's where a lot of these efforts to make things better or have a better understanding, a better communication going forward it involves bringing both parties to the table. So as a man, I didn't feel threatened being there. I didn't know what I was going to do while I was there. I didn't know what I was going to get out of it. But I certainly got a lot of takeaways, not only as a man in business, but just as a leader in general, and that's probably the most.
The Iowa Women Lead Change Conference reignited a passion that I have for advocating not only for women, but also for the men that stand beside us and that are truly doing the right thing. We're fortunate to work in a place where both men and women are valued equally and represented equally. And I think it's important for us to tell our story while it may not be an issue here, but to continue that advocacy and break barriers and bring everyone to the next level with us. I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing that we need to remember at the end of the day, we're all better together.
I would definitely recommend going again. I'm actually looking forward to it next year, and I hope we get to do this again. And my biggest takeaway is that we need to be nice to one another and support one another and really championing each other and getting us to the next level.
So ultimately, I think we all walked away with something that we could apply in our daily lives, whether it be at work or at home, or out, doing the things that we do every day to interact with other people, to lift other people up, and to really be there and be a mentor and empower people and be the best that we can be.
Very simple. Love the people you work with and find the ways that you are falling short on expressing that accurately.
As we heard a couple times, this is where the rubber hits the road. We like to kickstart things here, but this is just the beginning of the conversation. And lucky for us, we have another day of this.